Hi, I'm Dara Dietz, and I'm here today with Denise Layfield, and we are going to talk about infectious diseases and what we can do herbally to support and prevent the epidemics from taking hold in our families and in our lives.
The coronavirus has been in the news a lot lately, and I'm imagining that that's one of the infectious diseases that people are alarmed about at the moment. And as I understand it, you've been getting quite a few calls from your members asking maybe what they could do to either prevent getting the illness, or if they do, what they can do to alleviate the symptoms of the flu. Would you want to talk about that a little bit this morning, that particular virus?
First, let's take a little look at what an infectious disease is and how it is that it affects us. Any issue that has an incubation period, we need to understand what's going on during that 8 to 10 day incubation period. What is happening is the disease is blocking up the system. It goes down and it just blocks the system up, and then it takes it over. And during the blocking up period, you're not symptomatic, you don't have any issues, you're unaware that you are being affected from it. But once it's got the system blocked up, clogged up, then it can take over the system, and you are pretty much at the mercy of the infectious issue. What we can do herbally to prevent the blocking up from happening is to use Lobelia. This is something that was introduced by Dr. Christopher back years and years ago, and I discovered it in his writing several years back when we had some whooping cough going through the community, and a 3-month-old baby in a house full of children who had all contracted the whooping cough, and they were moving along and doing well, but none of us wanted the baby to contract this, and so we were trying everything we could to protect and prevent the baby from coming down with it. I came across a illustration in Dr. Christopher's writing where he talked about communicable diseases and infectious diseases, and the fact that Lobelia prevents the system from being blocked up. So we introduced some antispasmodic drops with the infant, and he never contracted the whooping cough. He had one night where he was up once coughing, and that was it. He never did come down with the whooping cough that his brothers and sisters all had and ended up having to go through completely. So I have seen that the Lobelia will work in preventing the system from being blocked up and it taking over the body. So the way that you would want to use this, according to Dr. Christopher, is you would just take a dropper full of Lobelia by mouth every 2 or 3 hours, and you would do this for the 8 to 10 days of the incubation period. So it's every waking hour, or every 2 or 3 waking hours during the incubation period, which is the 8 to 10 days. At the same time that you're doing this, I would also suggest that you do a good preventative program.
Okay. So I just want to be clear to the viewers, we're not talking about just the coronavirus, we're talking about any illness that that's contagious, that you could catch from someone else. And so with the Lobelia, would you use the Lobelia just as a preventative, or only use the Lobelia if you feel like if you're certain that you've been exposed to something?
Lobelia should not be overused in the sense, and this was the caution that I got from Dr. Christopher's writings, was to use it when you are aware that you have been infected, when it is apparent that it is going around. It's benign in the sense that it's not going to hurt you, and I don't believe that it would become worthless if it was used more than once, if there was a false alarm that came in and you used it, I don't believe that it would lose its vitality in you. But he always talked about Lobelia as one that you use when you need it, not that you just dose it constantly. So, just using the Lobelia when it's going around, when you're pretty sure you've been exposed to it, then you would want to start protecting yourself.
Okay. And so the lobelia would be used if you're pretty sure that you've been exposed, like the baby, your household has an illness, or you find out that your friend that you had coffee with has the illness, something in a situation like that. Now, is it just the lobelia that you would use if you are worried about exposure, or do you have to do other things to support the system at the same time that you're using the lobelia?
You would want to then start a good preventative program where you're boosting your immune system and you are doing supports to prevent the body and to support the body in keeping flushed and clear and clean. So, of course, absolutely no junk food. The white flour and the sugar is just going to take and wipe out your immune system. Sugar itself will just clog up all the immune system and shut your immune system down for 4, 8, 12 hours, depending on how much of a pig out you do. So sugar, white flour, all these things should be out. You want to keep everything open, and then try drinking 16 to 32 ounces a day of carrot juice. It provides the raw material that your body needs to build the immune system from. So using your carrot juice, and then if it's imminent, if there is a really good chance that it's coming through your community or through the people that you know, an ounce a day of echinacea 4 days each week, 16 to 32 ounces of carrot juice each day, and then try a super tonic. This is a drink that you can make yourself at home with apple cider vinegar. It's a raw vegetable preventative. It's excellent. You would take and blend 4 parts of garlic, 1 part horseradish, 1 part white onion, half to an eighth to maybe a fourth of a part cayenne. Do the cayenne so that it would be tolerable. You can go with a full part of cayenne if you want to, but most people want to cut that back a little bit. And I like to throw a little parsley root in there, or a little parsley, just for the flavoring of it. But you would just blend all these parts together, and a part is whatever you want it to be. So if you're going, if you're doing 8 ounces for your parts, then you would have 4 8-ounce parts of garlic, and then 1 8-ounce part of all the other vegetables that you're going to put in there. And you just blend them all up in your blender to applesauce consistency with the apple cider vinegar. Pour them into like your big spaghetti pot or your big chili pot so that you get it all mixed well. And then pour those into your gallon jugs or whatever, not jugs, jars, or whatever you're going to store it in, and to about 2/3 full. And then top it off with more apple cider vinegar. And let those set for 3, 6, 8 months, whatever, until you're ready to squeeze them off and use them. And that is a really good preventative tonic. You've got quite a bit of garlic in there, and your onions and your horseradish and all the other good stuff that will just work as a really good preventative. And it also makes a great salad dressing for the vinegar part of your olive oil and vinegar salad dressing.
And what about the use of something like echinacea?
I would suggest an ounce a day of echinacea 4 days each week during the time that you're working on the preventative. Echinacea sends a chemical command to your immune system to produce more immune system. So what you are doing by taking Echinacea is you're actually firing up your immune system and getting more white cells and more immune cells in your body, so that it's got the ability to fight off and neutralize and get rid of the infection that's trying to take over. The other thing that I have found is really, really helpful is using a good vitamin C. 3,000 milligrams for an adult during a crisis period, once or twice a day would not be bad. You don't want to take it to the point where you develop diarrhea when the bowel becomes affected, but if 3,000 affects your bowel, then cut it back to 2,000 or 1,000 milligrams 2 or 3 times a day, and just use the vitamin C to support the processing of the infection out.
Okay. All right. And say, for instance, you actually did come down with something. You didn't understand that you were in an incubation period. You didn't take preventative measures, and then you wake up one morning and you feel really sick, and you know you have the flu or something like that. What do you recommend at that point?
Okay. If you have contracted something, the flu, cold, whatever, what you want to do is go to juicing. Putting food down in your system when it is overworked already, just get your juicer out and get your juices made. You want at least 32 ounces of carrot juice each day. You don't have to drink it all at once, but spread out throughout the day to support the echinacea. If it is a real serious issue, you can actually do an ounce of echinacea every 12 hours. Would not be amiss for a real serious infection in the system. And the intense infection program, for that one, a good infection tonic would be made with grain alcohol, and it would consist of garlic, dandelion, golden seal, ginger, horseradish, and cayenne. That is a really good mix of herbs that support clearing infection from the body. The garlic, of course, goes system-wide. The dandelion is like the king of blood cleansers. Golden seal is a natural antibiotic effect on the system. And then your ginger, horseradish, and cayenne work on circulation. Cayenne moves blood from the heart to the extremities, and ginger flushes from the extremities back up towards the heart. And then horseradish moves blood to the head. So you're clearing the sinuses and all that, and it's just an excellent circulation to get all the good germ fighters and infection fighters everywhere in your body. It gets the circulation going as well as just fighting off the infection that's in you. And that is an excellent formula, overall formula, combination for infection. Just clearing it from the system. It can be used every hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, depending on the extent of the infection or the seriousness of the infection that you have. A secondary infection aid would be one that was made with plantain. Plantain goes to the lymphatic system first and clears from the lymphatic system up. So going between a good formula that is made with plantain and one that is made with garlic, you can go between those two formulas, switching out every other dose. So if you are dosing yourself for an infection every hour, you can 1 hour you can do a garlic based formula, another hour, the next hour you can do the plantain based formula. And this is excellent for supporting the body and clearing infection from both directions, just getting in there. And when you're doing such an intense infection work, the peripherals or the topicals that also support it, If the throat is sore, if you've got sore throat or swollen glands around the neck, you can use an ice poultice, a simple support to help clear and clean out the infection from around the throat, strep throat. I've seen an ice poultice take down the pockets with strep throat in 45 minutes. And what it is you just take a washcloth, you get it wet, wring it out, and put it in the freezer for a half hour or so, and it will get hard. And then you just take and fasten that around your throat and put a hand towel on it and pin it on and leave it on for 45 minutes until your body warms it up. And what this does is it just brings all the fresh blood right to the throat area. And so all those good infection formulas that you've put in you are now being concentrated through the blood in that area, and they just eat up the infection in your throat and through that area. And it just knocks down the soreness and all that. When you have an ice poultice on you, you do not want to eat or drink anything during the period that it's on your throat. And you also want to keep your mouth shut. So a lot of excess talking is not a good idea. It's good just to be quiet during that time. Then when it comes off and you take it off, drink a cup of your garlic-based infection formula, and just let that smooth over the throat and over all that. And it's like the hot and the cold therapy, really intense over it, and it just is so soothing. I myself have used it repeatedly when my throat was so sore when I got up I could hardly swallow, and after doing that routine I would take a cup of the hot garlic-based tea before I put the ice poultice on, put that on, and then when it was done, take another cup when it came off, and it was like my throat was fine. There was no more pain at all in my throat, and I was doing just fine. It just cleared that right up. So that is really good support for the sore throat issues or swollen lymph nodes around the neck, anything like that.
And so we talked before in other videos about the importance that when you're on any of these programs, any of the herbal support, particularly the Echinacea and the infection support, you really do want to make sure that your body is eliminating clearly and routinely. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. When you are doing a very intense infection program, you probably want to do what we call an ELF, an emergency liver flush. For a real serious infection, you can do 5 ELFs in a row. So for every night for 5 nights, you would do an ELF. And this is a very intense liver flushing. It's changing that internal vacuum cleaner bag is what this is. And I've got several videos that you can watch on my YouTube channel on how to do an ELF, and the ELF party are 2, where we actually filmed an ELF party that we had here with some of my girlfriends, and we were all doing the ELF. So the emergency liver flush, the ELF, you would want to do that. In a real serious one, you might need to do it once a night for 5 nights in a row. If that is too harsh, if that's too difficult, at least every other night or every 3rd night. But you've got to get that internal vacuum cleaner bag changed and emptied. If you do not empty and get the liver flushed through, it's just going to back up and quit pulling. And all the infection work that you're doing, all this, it's not just going to get through and get out. You're going to reabsorb it, and then you're going to be sicker than you were to start with. It's going to just back up in your system again, and you will feel like you've been run over by a Mack truck.
So Dara, as I understand it, there's another very effective remedy if you are seriously ill, particularly with pneumonia or any kind of lung issues, and it's called a garlic paste to your feet. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Anytime that we've got a serious infection going on, there is a topical support that can be done, and it's garlic paste to the feet. I do have a video on this which will walk you right through it. And yes, you're going to be applying garlic right to your feet, And what this does is this is going to just, all the nerves in your body end in your feet, and it just sends the garlic up and permeates the whole body with the garlic. In the morning, when there's a serious infection going on in the body, you will see that the paste, which was clear, it's garlic and Vaseline is what you're going to be putting on your feet, a mix of that, it will have changed color to where it will, if it's a bright fluorescent green, that is live viral that is being pulled out of your body and just taken, tie it up in a plastic bag and throw it away outside. If it is brown to black that's coming out, that means that your body has actually gotten on top of the infection and you are now just shedding dead infection, dead virus. It has been, it's dead. So your body is definitely getting on top of it. But when it's green to bright fluorescent green, you still got that live viral going on inside you. And this will actually, it's a way of seeing how bad the infection is, or how live it still is in your system with what you're doing. The garlic paste in the morning, the color it has changed to, will give you an indication of what is going on inside your body and whether or not you're actually getting on top of it or not. And at the same time, it sends garlic everywhere through your system. So it is an excellent aid in clearing infections. But this is the power of garlic in the body to clear infection, and it really targets the lungs. And no, I don't understand all the inner working chemistry of it, but I know that it works. I've seen it work time and again to clear the lungs, clear infection, and help the body get on top of what's going on.